Thank you all and welcome to the panel today. As we mentioned, we're going to speak about fostering an innovation mindset and how that's crucial for resilient organizations. We're going to discuss how creating a vibrant, decentralised FinTech ecosystem can enhance digital transformation and generate new business opportunities. I'll just welcome our speakers to the stage. So we've got quite a large panel today, 6 speakers in total. Rather than going around to each of the speakers and ask them to introduce themselves, I'll ask them to do that when I put the first question to them. So I guess you're right here beside me, Gurdeep. So I'll just ask, how does, if you can tell me a bit more about SC Ventures and how you promote experimentation and entrepreneurship.
Thank you very much, and great to be back. So quick introduction, this is Gurdeep. I'm one of the founding members of SC Ventures and lead the SC Ventures franchise in Europe and Americas. SC Ventures is an innovation, investment, and venture building arm of Standard Chartered Bank. When we set up SC Ventures, experimentation and entrepreneurship was one of the core principles on how we set up SC Ventures. And we have 3 activities. We have an entrepreneurship program, and the mandate is to engage the entire 85,000 staff of the bank across multiple locations. We also have an investment arm where we invest in fintechs, and we also have a venture building activity where we create new businesses from within. Now, this is one of the few, I would say, venture arms of organizations which brings all these activities under one umbrella. That was very consciously done because we said if you only become a CVC which invests in fintechs, then you're not really changing the culture because you are primarily facing with the external audience, but not taking your people along the journey, which is why all these 3 activities are within one umbrella. And the reason why it was also important to have a venture building activity is because we believe that the entrepreneurship program can serve 2 purposes. It can definitely change the culture in the bank by solving business problems within the bank. But also, frankly, you will find your entrepreneurs who will create new business models and create new fintechs. When we all float around the floor and we see so many banners and so many organizations, if you look deeper into the founders, they're actually ex-bankers or financial services. Why would you not give these people a platform so that they can give birth to new organizations? And obviously, we have Johnathan here on the floor. He will talk about how Swat was one of the examples for that.
Great.
Thank you.
So yeah, Johnathan, can you tell us a bit about yourself, what Swat does, and how entrepreneurship is a key component of your story?
Yeah, thank you very much, and thank you for bringing me to the panel here. So I'm Johnathan, I'm CMO at Swat, and I have been on the trip, on the voyage of Swat actually since 2018, where we started with the very first ideas on what we could do with blockchain in the financial industry and how we could improve security settlement, tokenization, etc., all around that between financial institutions on the blockchain. And I have been emphasizing already financial institutions quite a lot. So that's where you realize this is a platform-based business. You need financial institutions to interact with each other. And that's exactly where then Standard Chartered and SC Ventures came in, where they said, okay, this looks like a good proposal to us. Let's do something together here, because we think that we are building up an ecosystem here. And yeah, in 2022, Swat was founded, actually as it's a standalone company, and became a joint venture. Not only by SC Ventures, but by LBBW and Deca Bank as well, on purpose to create this ecosystem setup, and which was really nice to see that something that develops from a project, from a mere idea, gets founded into a company, gets this support, and is recognized by SC Ventures, saying, okay, this is something that fits into our cooperation perspective and the overall ecosystem that we want to support, and yeah.
Great. And Andrew, you're here from Citi. How does Citi balance the need for driving internal innovation and making use of broader external innovation?
Thank you. Yeah, so Andrew Murray, I head up our institutional strategic investment practice. So this is principal equity investments in startup companies focusing on our institutional businesses. So across Citi, I believe we spent about $12 billion on technology last year. So there's a certain amount of innovation that comes as business as usual and is expected of each of the business lines. But we do benefit a lot from having structures such as our innovation labs, which help support internal innovation projects, also act as a center of excellence for areas such as generative AI, where there's a new problem common across the bank, but also act as a platform to help us engage with and harness the external innovation. And that last one's particularly important because as much as we can innovate internally, there's an order of magnitude more happening externally, and often better, faster, cheaper, because it's not happening in a bank. But it is difficult for us to sometimes use that technology because it's difficult to take a technology, even a good product, and turn it into a successful business that we can then adopt. And I'll segue to Christian here. So our recent investment in United FinTech was one way of helping to address that problem, in looking at sort of where are there good technologies or products that can be aggregated into one common platform that gives them scale to help them succeed, but also helps us as banks in adopting them and giving it a more sort of holistic solution that we can then adopt.
Johnathan, yeah, I think you can chat right through on that topic.
I guess so. So first of all, Christian Frahm, I'm the founder and CEO of United FinTech. This is my second time around as an entrepreneur. I'm normally wearing a T-shirt today. I put on a shirt for the occasion. But yeah, lovely to be here. It's really interesting to hear both Gurdeep and of course Johnathan, Andrew, talk about ecosystem and platforms because I think that's kind of when I thought about what to do next in life and I looked at financial services, I thought that was kind of the obvious place to start. Financial services or a digital transformation bank is historically something that's been done very much in silos. So if you're a Citi or Standard Chartered or any large bank, you have your digital roadmap and you want to innovate and you want to do new stuff. But the fact is, most of the stuff that Andrew is dealing with, somebody else is also dealing with. And so we think 80% of the problems is industry utilities. So stuff that really shouldn't be solved in silos, but should be solved in ecosystem platform approaches. And that's the reason for setting up United FinTech to start with. We think there's an enormous opportunity for not just banks and fintechs to work together, but also actually banks to work together. So we think the space going forward, because things move so quickly, and you look at life today, everybody's interacting, engaging digitally. You have now a digital movement going on, but you also have AI and digital assets, all these things. And this is simply impossible now to keep doing in silos. So we are very much into platform plays and innovations through partnerships as opposed to solve things in silo.
Nice. So moving to Savannah, Serene is a small company. We chatted earlier. You would firmly describe yourself as a startup. You are selling or hoping to sell to large, more complex organizations. What do you see your biggest challenges and where do you see opportunities to foster more innovation?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, just I guess a bit of background to myself before I answer that question. So I'm the co-founder and CEO of Serene, and we're a data analytics platform for financial institutions to both identify vulnerable customers, but also take more proactive measures to protect them from harm. So, for us, I would say FinTech was not where we thought we'd land up. So it was a bit of a surprise, and both myself and my co-founder have, more of a health tech slant to our background. So I think it's quite interesting, us entering this industry both as a small startup, selling to large organizations, but also coming from a completely different perspective. And for us, I think that's been, a huge opportunity actually, because as some of the panelists were saying, is lacking the capability sometimes to address particular problems within organizations themselves fosters opportunities for other companies to come in and solve those problems. But I guess for us, being that small startup, I think there's always trying to align our incentives and objectives with kind of strategic priorities within organizations. And a struggle sometimes with that is, given the long procurement cycles, given the size of institutions, finding those correct departments or those right people to speak with can take up a lot of time and actually, stop that innovation from happening. But I think the other thing as well, once you're in, is having that understanding is actually finding people who, you're not just looking at cheerleaders, or these aren't just passion projects for certain stakeholders. It's actually, finding, what is the use case, the true business use case beyond altruistic values that can unlock the potential to actually integrate. So I guess those are some challenges we found, and where we've really enabled ourselves, I guess, to grow and expand and grow that network within organizations is actually through innovation labs and through sandboxes. And it's been so much easier for us to test propositions, test new business models, test use cases with organizations who have that available. And it's, a really exciting part of our growth trajectory to have that.
Well, you certainly showed agility there, moving from health tech to fintech. So just moving to you, Graham, in working with fintechs like Savannah, are there any tips that you'd give to ensure that they can successfully drive innovation in the ecosystem?
Yeah, thank you. So I'm Graham. I look after our fintech lab for Accenture in the UK. We're one of 3. So we have a New York lab and a Hong Kong one as well. And we're all about introducing early stage companies to our clients to help them crack this innovation problem. So I guess to draw out some of the things that have come from the panel already, some of those tips I think are, when you're an early stage company coming into that environment, meeting the big enterprises, is can you listen, can you learn, can you pivot? Because you've probably got a fantastic idea and you should really back yourself as somebody with that. But actually, does it solve the problem in the real way? So can you actually come out of the end of the accelerator with an even better product as an even stronger team? I think is really quite important. Coming with that, I would say resilience is pretty key. We've heard kind of people alluded to it along the panel already. Like, these processes aren't fast, but they can get you there. So have you got that resilience and that runway, if you like, to get you through that if partnering with a big enterprise is what you would like to do? So I think that's pretty important too. And then finally, just remain humble and be professional. I know that sounds somewhat patronizing, but I think sometimes people get so swept up in the brilliance of the idea they actually forget to position the business case for it or the polish around the presentation. And actually, for a big enterprise, that's a bit of a blocker, because normally there's all the polish and no content. So as a fintech, you need to come the other way, and then there can be a match made in heaven.
Excellent. I'm going to move on to the topic of regulation, how it might impact or foster innovation. I'll leave the mic down there if you don't mind. Savannah, we spoke about consumer duty and this topic earlier on. Is this something that you'd like to speak about?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I guess, talking about regulation, and for us, a huge catalyst was actually the new consumer duty regulation. And it's just meant that we've been able to get a foot in the door and know that we're solving a really real problem. I think for us, talking about innovation and how regulation can both be an amplifier but also a hindrance in many ways, I think sometimes there is a slight mismatch in terms of, you're putting these new policies in place but not necessarily understanding what it takes or what it means to actually put those in practice. So from the consumer duty perspective, having firms needing the capabilities and being able to evidence that they can both identify vulnerable customers and also showcase how they're taking proactive measures to protect them from harm. What's a little bit left unsaid is, like, if you're identifying these customers, how do you protect them? Where does the privacy come in? And for us, it's something that we always think about from an ethical standpoint. But if firms have to identify these customers, what measures are in place then? What are they meant to do with it? So, and also I think, talking about GDPR, privacy, and all of that, you inadvertently sometimes run yourself into trouble because you're trying to solve for one area of regulation or kind of comply with one area, but you have to have a really, really overarching view of everything to make sure you're not kind of, taking yourselves down the wrong path without meaning to. So I think it's really exciting, and I think it forces innovation in areas that would otherwise go unthought of, and I think taking a much more human-centric view to financial services as custodians of people's well-being is incredibly important, but making sure that the processes and systems are in place to protect those customers as well.
Yeah, agreed. It really is a balancing act to be struck. Johnathan, how did regulation accompany Swat's path?
Well, putting securities on the blockchain for financial institutions is a delicate process.
Yes.
And so that has been heavily accompanied by regulation. That actually was a lot of developing in the process. And yeah, back in 2018 when we started, there was no regulation about it. In Germany, there was there were a few concepts on a national strategy that could be pursued. In 2019, there were the first elements of a strategy in the European Union. And what we were benefiting of actually as well was that there was Project Ubin from Singapore by MIS, which were exploring already all the setup details on how you could do this and what benefits and yeah, issues might be. And so that was really interesting for us. So we could already set up our logic and of the product, etc., and the legal framework around it back in 2019, and then just had to tailor it a little bit to the European regulation that we have, and we believe as well that it's quite easily adaptable to the UK regulation for the sandbox that we have here, and so that is something that has accompanied us and as well enabled the business, to be honest, because it gives clarity, and banks and financial institutions only act if they can trust, and trust comes with clarity, reliability, and that's exactly the support that we got by the regulation, but as well by our partners. Right? Yeah. Because if we would have started as an independent startup without any support, without the knowledge support that we got through the organizations that we were working with, this would have been a much longer way. And believing that starting as a startup that has to bootstrap since 2018, I would not believe that we would be sitting here.
Yeah. And I guess that's another benefit of partnerships and collaboration. Gurdeep, what's your view on partnerships and collaboration?
It's core to how SC Ventures has been operating since the beginning. It's very, very fundamental. In fact, it's partnerships not just internally with our business sponsors, but also externally, which is super important. I think Andy touched upon it, which is we engage and partner both with fintechs and also with our clients. And I will break that down a little bit, which is we have an innovation bridge where more than 4,000 fintechs have been registered. So before we look at investment opportunities into fintechs, we first look for solutions to business problems, pose challenges on the innovation bridge, where fintechs can apply, register, and then say, we have a solution to your problem. We shortlist them. And once they go into a production environment with any part of the business or with any of our ventures, that is when we start considering them for investment. So that has been a throughout end-to-end journey. And obviously, as a result of that, we then help them scale, not just within the bank, but also outside. Many of our, I would say, participants in the forum today, to name a few, whether it's Thought Machine or otherwise, they are very important partners of SC Ventures, as an example. Second, when it comes to clients, we are a firm believer in co-creating business models and business ventures with like-minded clients. And there is a reason for that, because when we started building ventures, we realized that many of our financial institution clients and also corporate clients are solving for similar themes and similar problems, whether it is e-commerce, whether it is SME and trade, digital assets, or sustainability and inclusion. And they wanted to say, what are you doing in that space? We are doing something similar. Can we co-create these ventures? And we brought those partners along. And increasingly what we are saying now is, for most of our ventures today, and down the line for all of our ventures, we will have a strategic partner, not one, but maybe a couple, strategic partner and investor as part of that venture. And that helps make sure that the venture is solving the right client problem. We are not just solving a bank problem, we are solving a banking problem. And it can be scaled over time. So that's a very fundamental belief. In fact, Annie and I also spoke and exchanged some ideas, which is what can we do together as two institutions solving for problems in the space of banking. And I would just end by saying another live example. Today itself, we announced a great combination of this partnership. We announced our investment in a UK fintech called Algebra.
Yeah.
And we also partnered with them to create or expand and scale one of our sustainability ventures called Shoal. And that announcement has gone out today. So that's perfect timing in some sense.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Andrew, so we've seen a lot in the press about banks spinning off. I'd like to discuss that with you, that kind of spin-off and externalizing your own technology.
Yes, certainly. So continuing the theme, I mean, because of the scale and capabilities we have, we often end up building technology and products that compare very favorably to both what peer banks have and also a lot of the vendor technology. So we are starting to look more systematically, as I think other banks are as well, in looking at, well, where have we solved a problem that is a common problem across the industry, and where could some of our capabilities maybe have a bigger and better life outside the bank? But this does run a lot of the problems of starting up a new fintech. Like, you may have a good technology or a good product, but there are many other things and complexities to having making it into a successful business. So the ones we've done so far have largely been in either partnership with other banks or with an operating partner. So in the bank partnerships, we had Proximity in the proxy voting space, Octora, which was based on a lot of our own CLO trading technology. For operating partners, we had Bridge, an SME funding platform in the US that we spun out to Foro, QMA, post-trade query manager that we spun out to Delta Capita. So in all of these, we're sort of building muscle memory of how to do it, but the availability of an operating partner or another third party to help de-risks it a lot than going for a completely de novo outsourcing.
Great. So Christian, how can big banks maintain agility and compliance in the face of rapid technological advancements? And what roles do partnerships with fintech firms like United Fintechs play in this?
Yeah, I think Andrew and Gurdeep, you're both addressing kind of some of the core issues. I mean, a lot of stuff is actually created within banks. A lot of stuff is created in partnerships between banks and customers. A lot of products and solutions are actually created by fintech entrepreneurs. A lot of people sitting within banks and saying, how can we solve that and where should we start? And I guess that's back to your point, Johnathan, about partnering up early. So for us, it's about, can we build a platform that supports some of these business models? So can we help Andrew and Citi externalize some technology? Can we help Gurdeep once you get to a certain level? So our kind of core DNA is, how do we scale different business models and different products out there? The commonality of what everybody needs is they want to commercialize these products. They want to bring scale, and it's kind of the same thing you need, right? So if you're looking in most fintech companies, what do they need? Well, they need Salesforce globally. They need to have some kind of process for automation. They need to start looking at AI in the operating model. So a lot of these things are the same. So we look for, I would say, common platform models that we can attract products on and then help actually bring it to the industry.
Okay. Conscious of time, we have 1 minute, 40 seconds. Graham, do you have any final thoughts on what makes for good entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I think we've spoken a lot about the fintech side of things. I think also from the business side, it's quite easy for the innovation teams to be detached from the core business. So really encouraging to hear the guys here solving real problems. So I think with that as well, there's sometimes some internal things to fix. So can you actually get the data out for these fintechs to use? So if you're in an enterprise, I think having a burn list of things to fix yourselves is pretty crucial. Having the runway to scale internally as well, like there's no point doing a technical POC or a proof of value if actually you haven't got the budget or the backing to take it further if it's successful. I think that's pretty important. And then celebrating the little successes as well, like building the momentum behind some of the partnerships, I think can really help kind of build sponsorship in some of the maybe more skeptical areas of the business for how you can really do innovation.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for our panel, and thank you to the attendees as well. Thank you.